Alright, so it is Friday and weekend underway. House is cleaned up and we're gonna go start some projects. I keep busy, I guess. Perhaps highlight a few things just from over the time. The wax pan is at 95% finished. So yeah, it was bent up. My brother welded it, and yeah, he did a real good job there. I did a water test on there, and there are 2 spots on there that I did found that do that seep water. It's not a drip even, it's very slow, but I might have those areas just touched up and then it will be done. The flour mill is here. It's set up, so this is actually this base is screwed to the counter from the underside, and then this one is just screwed to the base, and it works. You know, you can just load it up with corn, and you know, there's your stone going. I used it already. I ground up some corn, made some corn flour, and made some cornbread. So it does work. That works nice. I like it. So right now I'm going to be working on the pantry shelving again. Figure, you know, better get those things done. So yeah, that's coming along. So I'm gonna get the test piece for the first one, and then we'll cut that out and see how that goes. And yeah, if that one works, then I guess we'll just kind of mass produce the rest of them and go from there. Alright, back in the dungeon, and figured I got the test piece cut. So this is the first shelf. It's 24 there. And I got the notches cut out there, so theoretically it should slot right in there, but it doesn't. So because, well, I explained this last, well, I emphasized the concern about this last time, and yeah, you can see it just don't, even with the angle there. I mean, there's a wider one too, it just doesn't slot in there. So I'm gonna have to make flat shelving that just slides in there, which is not a big deal. In fact, that makes my life a whole lot easier. And then there's just a few things that actually it's almost ready for the shelving. The only thing is, as you can see, I screwed the top to here. I don't have a screw in the back yet. I don't have this one screwed in. I don't have that one screwed in, and that's just because this one, especially because I'm using prime lumber, you know, the best from the pallets offer. And basically I couldn't say no to anything I had, because I had just enough to finish this project. So I know one of them's a little bit on the crooked side, so I need to push it in place, clamp it in place, and then screw it just so it holds. But outside of that, this one too, I'm going to make sure that it's all squared. And I know I'm going to have to run a clamp in there to make sure it is square before I can screw it in there. But I just don't have to, I can't hold it and screw it. It just doesn't work nicely. But outside of that, I think it's going to turn out nicely. And I'll just cut a bunch of the shelving. Again, yeah, I don't need to make the notch in there. So it makes my life a whole lot easier. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, I'm ready for shelving, at least to cut them. So the screws have been lined up, they've been put in there, so that's all straightened up. I did the same thing here. You can see I just ran the clamp down there up until it was the same front to back, and then yeah, it was tacked in there, got screws in there. This one probably could have gotten away with, but it was tight enough in there. And then just because there's no brace, there's nothing in the back to prevent, I guess, a side-to-side wobble, I put this piece of wood, it fits snug just between the 2 braces there, and then it's just screwed into the stud of the wall. And all that does is then these 2 points, it's close to center, you know, that's the center, but at least then it cannot move side to side. I think that should hold it. It's pretty solid as it is. It doesn't really want to move anyways. But that's just kind of for good measure. So I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm going to measure for shelving. Theoretically, they should all be the same size. but we'll put that to the test, and then get the table saw set up, run them all through there, and then we can put it in here, see how it looks. And I can see it already being used today, getting some of the stuff down here, clean out the closet. We could all do that. So yeah, we'll see where that takes us. Alright, so the shelving is, I'd say, 98% done. What I mean by that is that none of it's none of it's like locked in there, so you can still. Okay, that one's tight. Okay, that one you can move. So yeah, they're just, some of them are tight in there, and they're just basically friction fit. And so I'm not too concerned about them. I mean, you have to do something drastic to pull them out, I would say, and you would notice too. So I'm not really concerned about that. I wanted to tack them in, so I took some. You can see there's a little nail in there, and that's just 1 3/16 brad nail, and you know, just for the air nailers, I just cut them individually and then take a little hammer. Problem is, it works in some places, and then in others, you know, you I guess they really need that fast delivery, and tapping with a hammer, most of the time they were just bending if you get a hard spot in the plywood. So I kind of just I got fed up with that. So I don't have any other really fastener for these things, so I think I'll just leave it as it is, because as it is, most of it is pretty sturdy. So you know, but you know, there we have shelving for what is, you know, hopefully to come. I can already start storing some stuff down there, and we can put things away and kind of organize stuff and start cleaning the closet up there. I could store, you know, the canned goods. I could store the seeds down here as well. I think we should. I don't see why not. And then yeah, we can start organizing a little bit more down here, and what can be moved where, and just, I don't know, I'd like to get this place a little bit more cleaned up, but for now, shelving I'd say is done. Just, you know, clean up the tools, and then yeah, probably break for coffee, and then see where the day goes from there. Alright, so yeah, I'm basically cleaning and getting rid of groundhogs. I just saw one, and well, he's gone now, so chickens will be happy with a new revenue stream of maggots. So I don't like doing it either, but you know, it's, I don't care for those things around here. They do a lot of damage, and well, you know what, sometimes you just gotta do the dirty work yourself. So in other cleaning up news, I got this now organized, and I got all the empty jars out of here, and I think I'm gonna go clean this doorway just so that it's nice. And yeah, I know the, what you would call it, the deck's not the nicest. I mean, I fell through it last year. It's that wood is quite rotten, and it's actually quite dangerous, and I got the trees growing through there, which has to be taken care of. But it still works to a degree. So in other news, I did get more. You know, I'm still organizing down here, but as you can see, I got now all the empty jars. They're organized to a degree up here. It gets difficult when I got a lot of, you know, like old sauce and other, you know, miscellaneous jars, you know, that don't have a standard shape or nothing. You know, stuff like that. I got them all from friends, so you know, they are useful. You can can with them, and I have. And actually, case in point, I have. Here's a lot of juices: pear, apple, cranberry, tomato. See, there you go. That's still sealed. That's still sealed. They work just fine. You can water can them. I got my maple syrup down here, and I moved my eggs down here. Got carrots and pear and apple sauce, and then a bunch of different jams, sauces. I got more stuff down there, but there's tons of shelving. I got all the stuff out from upstairs, and yeah, I'd say maybe 20% of the shelving has been used, so that's nice to see. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of it goes. I could put other stuff down here too, but I still need to, as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. Trying to figure out where this, you just need to have a way of organizing it. But yeah, so that's all done. And what? A little surprise that I found. I'll put them on. I put a sweet potato in here a couple months ago, and I neglected it, and I wrote it off, to be honest. Had a bunch of this stuff growing in, wild spinach or lamb's quarters growing in there, and then I noticed, hey, that is sweet potato. So I'm just gonna let it grow in there. I don't want to bother to put it outside because our season's just way too short for that. But had I done that sooner, maybe if I take care of it enough, I can bring it through the winter and plant it next year. And I've always wanted. It's more of just, you know, to see if you can grow sweet potato up here. I just grow regular potato because that does well here, and it is doing well. I goes on to some other experimentation. Right now, I'm going to fill up the maggot dispenser and then clean up a little bit more of the cardboard and get rid of that stuff. But yeah, let's see where they goes. Well, just got finished kind of cleaning the runners here, so that looks good. Give a little bit of oil, and it actually slides a whole lot nicer. So there we go. And hey, look at that, them trees are gone. Outside of the trees that should be there. So yeah, I got those. I crawled under there and I cut that up, and I got ideas to fix this one up. That was kind of a unique little deck. That deck came here. It was built by the last tenant here, and you know, it was a nice little deck for what it is. I'll give them that. That's a unique piece. How you say, all the edges are actually, it's all slab wood, so that's kind of neat. It just sits. It's how you say, around here you can't just build decks next to onto a house. You have to pull a permit for that, because of course the government has to get their cut. But so instead, the route he went was he built it off. It doesn't have. I think the way the law goes, unless it's on a foundation. Once you start messing with the foundation, then you have to pull a permit. So there's no foundation on here. It just sits on wooden logs, and it's not attached to the house. It sits off the house. So it's not actually attached. It sits. You know, there's a. It sits off the house. So it's a freestanding structure. I think. So I'm probably gonna just copy kind of the design of what he did here, and yeah, I might do it a little bit differently. I'm thinking I might add like a. Now I'm spitballing, and I have no idea when I would do this, but I've always kind of envisioned, hey, there's an entrance there, maybe an entrance here, and perhaps even what I was thinking about doing is building a greenhouse over here that I can walk to, because one, I've got a plug there, so I could theoretically heat it during the cold months if it needed to, you know, as a backup heat source, or I could run pumps, or, you know, you power that. It just gives you that opportunity. Perhaps makes something on here, but then You can have a walk, steps like you have on that side, but also over there, and then have kind of like a fire pit outside there, kind of like a patio. I don't know. It's something I've thought about. But for now, I'm just gonna, I'd like to get this renovated. I'm thinking about just doing, see, the problem here is you use regular wood. There's nothing treated about it, and I don't like treated wood to begin with, so I'm thinking about also just using regular wood. It's like, oh, but then it's gonna rot right like the first time. It's like, I know, but I'm thinking about burning it. I think if you do that and then apply a good, kind of linseed oil or something, I think that'll preserve it in its own right. Let me just, what's that over there? That looks like a wasp. So maybe I got nests around. Which isn't a bad thing. I don't like them for the bees, but they're very nice in the garden, I'll say that, because they eat all your insects and parasites and whatnot. So yeah, I'm thinking that today's kind of just a cleaning day and kind of wrapping up loose ends. So what I might do, I think what I should do is actually get these things repotted. I think it's high time I did that. I have compost, I have charcoal, it's been steeping, or I guess inoculating with a bunch of different stuff, and these really do need to get potted up. I have to make the pots. I'm thinking about using 3-gallon buckets, but you do have to make some sort of drainage in them, so I'll probably layer them on the bottom with rocks. 2 inches up, drill some holes so that there is a minimum threshold of how much water can sit in there. And then I just have to be careful when I would do water them in the winter, that they don't overflow, but I guess you could always take the lids that came from them and use them as kind of like a saucer under it to catch any of the overflow instead of it dribbling all over your table, which, ask me how I know that one. But yeah, I think that'll be the next little project. Just tying up loose ends here and there, cleaning stuff up. It's just kind of what I feel like today. I don't have any projects set in stone or in mind, so I will see. Go from here. Here to make a quick update. So I got 4 of these buckets, and I just divided them into. I want to drill the drainage holes a little bit up from, so that much water can sit in there before it overflows. You don't want to bog these things down, so I just it's got these handy little evenly spaced nubs, so I just divided that, I think it was into 6 parts, struck a line down, and they had a convenient little line on here too. Oh, you can just see that there. So that's where I went there. Now I'm just drilling them out, and then I'm going to, so the idea is to fill the bottom with a little bit of rocks, this as for the drainage, and then so rocks will be in there, and then I'll have a mixture of compost, biochar, the dirt, and I'll probably toss in some worms in there too. I just don't see why not. Just helps to add life to the soil, and just give them a good start. They'll all be mulched in. I find that they're already all of them are mulched in. With I think some of them are with like peanut shells and leaves and what have you. So that's where it is so far, and they all got this sticker on there, I guess. Which, if you're buying buckets, it's actually nice to have the sticker on there, just because, then you know exactly what was in the bucket. So that's it. That's one of the. If you're going to be using food grade buckets, then you should always buy ones with stickers on there, because then you can actually identify what was in there. Is what I was told by the guy. So I'm just going to plug away at that and drill these holes out, and then figure out kind of my ratios for the biochar. Alright, so I'm about ready to start potting some of the citrus. Well, I probably have to make another batch, but I just got together a little, here's the soil I'm going to use. This is what I put together. So I have basically kind of a loamy topsoil. It comes out of that big pile back there. That was all the topsoil from where the containers are sitting. When I laid down that foundation, I got well-aged compost and manure. And then I have worm castings and worms. And this time I incorporated biochar. So you can see there's small stuff, thin stuff, there's this, you can see it's in there. So, yeah, you can see the worms here. It's all mixed up now, so I'm just gonna get ready the bucket. So I got 4 of these ready. I picked up some rocks, and so then I'll just lay down in there and get the rest of the soil, or I guess the tree, transplanted over. So we'll see how that goes. Zizo, so what I wanted to set out to do 2 weeks ago, I finally got around to doing. So the citrus trees have all been repotted. So I gotta clean that one up still, and I filmed, I guess, potting 2 of these, and I didn't realize I put the slow motion on the next time, and yeah, that's me mixing dirt in slow motion. So here's all of them potted up. So this is the lemon tree, and then these 3 are all mandarins. And these trees I've had for a long time, probably over 6 years now, to be honest. I planted them when I still lived at my parents', and I took these 4 with me when I moved out. I left one over there, it was a lemon, and that's still there. Actually, it grew so big in the house, it became more like a vine, and it went up onto the ceiling, but it was all chopped back to more of a healthy wooden stem, and it actually sprouted out nicely again. So yeah, I'm gonna document, or I hope to, if I remember, take a picture of them maybe once a day or so, because you can see how they don't look the nicest, but they do that almost every year. It's almost like I still think it's in their genetics, because this is the time of year that they're supposed to be dormant, because it's supposed to be winter, right? It's probably close to, while it's summer here, it's probably, if it's summer here, it's fall in the southern hemisphere, where these are more, these are more prone to grow. So I've always noticed that the big growth, the green, really pops out in the winter when I have them inside. That's when they really start growing. And you can see the new growth on this one especially. I mean, just look at this. Coming from here, till here, and yeah, it didn't do so well when she went outside the first bit. It was, I guess, the shock from it really set her back a bit. But yeah, and I'm trying to get it to a spot where I can try and prune it. I want to keep it at a certain height, but I also want it to be strong. So that's why I have them outside here. So, and in the winter they kind of exercise, get a little bit hardier. You know, they've all got woody stems, which is really nice. And then in the winter I bring them inside. But I think these pots will do nicely in there. And with this new soil, and they got, you know, they have the compost brings in a lot of phosphorus. The charcoal was amended with a high nitrogen source, and I guess inoculated with it, absorbed, doesn't matter. And then yeah, you have the soil, and then I now have the composting worms in all 4 of these too. So they're gonna keep bringing out worm castings. They're gonna aerate the soil. They're gonna keep improving it, and so I'm curious to see what they do. So yeah, that's one thing off the list, and I think I'm gonna work on fertilizing the garden a bit, see how that goes. Alright, so I cleaned up the stuff from the whole soil transfer repotting situation, and then I got sidetracked. I'm gonna probably quickly do a little bit of fertilizing, so I still have that tote out there, and that was just a bunch of water with cow manure in there, and so that's been steeping for about a week or 2. But in the meantime, right before I did that, I just figured, I made some cookies. I don't know. I've been using that chat GPT, that AI. I thought it was really quite a really unique little thing there. I just tell it, hey, give me a recipe for peanut butter cookies that uses that incorporates cocoa powder. So I still have, you know, some of that stuff, and then substitute the sugar for honey, and yeah, it spits out this little thing, and you know, it's a good base to work with. And I modified it myself a little bit. Found it to be a little bit runny, but it's a really neat little thing. And I did the same thing with the soil. I gave it, hey, I need a recipe for citrus trees, and you know, incorporate biochar in there, and then I kind of modified it from there. But you know, it gives you a base to work with, and it's a really unique tool to use. But yeah, I'll see where that goes. For right now, I'm gonna go skim off the top of that tote, and then get at the liquid in there, and then I don't know, I'm gonna go fertilize the trees and whatnot, because that's cow manure. It's high in phosphorus. It's good for root development, but I really should be skimming hog manure. I would like to get some of that in the corn and whatnot to give it a little bit of boost on the nitrogen levels. But yeah, that's the way I do it. So yeah, I'll see how it goes, and then that's probably going to be one of the last things I do for today. Alright, so I think I'm pretty much done for the day, as far as I can see. You know, I'm happy with where things are at. Things are organized. Things have been, you know, just squirreled away. So that's nice. It was a rather relaxing day, and I enjoyed it. So I just finished. Well, I skimmed the top of that out of there, and I'm just like, all the solids, they seem to float up, and so I just tossed that onto the little compost pile I have next to it. And I went around with got that 12-liter watering can. I went and I gave some to the elderberries, to the walnuts, to the cherries, and to the apple trees. I just went back and forth, and now, see, I don't like that setup. It is, you know, it's stationary. I take the, so I have to go, and there's a lot of walking. I'd like to maybe find another one. And perhaps I should just use the one I have. Or maybe I should, yeah, actually that's not a bad idea, because I don't know what was in there, so it's probably not a good idea to use that for any sort of watering. I mean, fertilizing is watering in its own right, but it would be nice to have one with the top on there and a working spigot. I can put that on I'd like to build a dedicated trailer for that or something. Just hook it up to the lawnmower, and then just roll around as you please. And I could use it to either fertilize the lawn, make a little manure spreader out of it, you know, fertilize other areas of the yard, but at least then you can move around, you know, 250 gallons of liquid manure instead of walking around with a 12-liter watering can back and forth. And I got some ideas rolling around. I need to find, if I find myself a pair of axles I might jump on that and then have a little wagon built. But I don't know. I'm full of ideas, and you know, I have to sift through them once in a while and see what really pans out. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for today. And if you watch this far, thanks for watching, and take care.